Collective 6, Exhibit ID 5 for ID. Do you recognize that picture?
Yes.
And what is depicted in that photo?
He had me defecate and then took pictures.
Okay. And Collective 8, Collective 6, ID 8. You recognize that? Who's depicted in this picture?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is this scene?
He defecated on me and took pictures.
Collective 6, ID 7. What is this picture?
It's me. And he used the bathroom on me and took pictures.
Let's wait for a moment until I get all the pictures back, please. All right, next question.
Question probably on a lot of people's mind, Ms. Dishman, is why didn't you tell Mahogany about the murder or run to Dollar General near your house or anything?
At the time, I wasn't thinking rationally. Fear overtook everything.
If I could go back to when Miss Paxton was in the bedroom and you said that Mr. Finnegan was choking her.
Yes.
Could you describe specifically, is she face down, face up, on her side? How is she positioned when this is going on?
Face down.
And how is he positioned with her face down?
He was straddled over her.
Could you describe how it is that he's strangling her?
He was on his hands and knees, and he was using the shoestring on her neck.
You just gestured, so I'm going to describe that gesture for the court record. You had your hands and fists, and you pulled upward.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Did you stab Jennifer Paxton?
No.
Did you choke her?
No.
Did you strangle her?
No.
Did you slice her?
No.
Did you hit her with a bat?
No.
I pass this witness, Judge.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our afternoon break now, so it'll be about 20 minutes. Okay? So everybody rise, please. All rise. Jury follow me, please. Thank you. Have a seat, please. So, counsel, you want to put on some proof in regard to our 404B or ask her some questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
With the court's permission. So, Ms. Dishman, since you've been in jail, since this incident, it's been reported, so I'm asking for you to confirm it, okay?
Yes.
That there was an affair with a corrections officer.
Yes,
Is that true?
that's true.
Okay. And that there were pictures that were taken on a phone or something like that with a
Yes.
corrections officer? Okay. And that at some point you reported that corrections officer for the affair?
Yes,
Okay. And also at some point you threatened some other women who may or may not have been involved in a similar kind of affair with that corrections officer. You threatened to kill them?
yes.
Okay. Judge, I think that's clear and convincing.
No, Your Honor, we never disputed, again, that the statement was made. Our issue is in conflating the issues of this trial. We have her saying something after the fact, but no physical confrontation with people, no hitting, no assaults took place, no actual killing or hurting any other person in the jail, but a threat to do so. On the other hand, we have Mr. Finnegan, who has said, I have fantasies about kidnapping someone and wants to. We feel like if we're going to make this go toward motive, he certainly has a motive too, and that evidence should come in. And without that, it is misleading to the jury to only give information of things that she has said and not give information about the things that he has said. Him expressing he wants to kidnap somebody and then kidnapping someone is certainly clear and convincing, more than probative, very relevant to this. To contrast that, her saying something to someone else in a completely different context after the fact in the survival mode that is jail is going to be confusing and misleading to the jury. In the event that you choose to let it in, we do believe that that opens the door to motive on the defendant's side. Because again, these are statements versus statements. Good for the goose, good for the gander in this context. It is not unfairly prejudicial. These are statements he made and then followed through on those statements directly. We have actual physical acts which confirmed his desire to perform those. He said, I'm going to do it, and then he did it. Versus, if you do this, I'll have this reaction, and then never did anything from it. These two aren't the same in terms of their probative value, and they are not the same, frankly, in terms of misleading the jury. It is terribly misleading to the jury to let in what's happened after the fact with Ms. Dishman. It is on point for the kidnapping statements from Mr. Finnegan.
Judge, I'd like to follow up. They're differently postured. She is someone who's pled guilty to a crime and is the state's witness. And I get to challenge her credibility, and I get to challenge her motives, especially since she's already pled guilty to it, and our entire defense is who made the acts. Besides the fact that the 404B they're trying to get in is through her.
Well, I'm going to rule on their 404B, but help me with this one. So tell me what you think material issue exists other than conduct conform with character correctly.
Okay, because she's claiming that he's abusive, and we're talking about this power dynamic. In the jail, she's having an affair so that she can get benefits inside the jail. It's a very similar situation as, say, living with someone and not having a job.
I don't have proof of the benefits inside the jail. What I've got proof of is that she told somebody that if they didn't stop this relationship, she'd kill them. I think that's what she said.
Well, she did, but she also carried on this relationship for the purpose of benefits. And
How do I know that?
well, I could ask her.
What?
If
I've
it's
already done
a
that.
clear,
So
convincing
ain't
issue.
that, I guess besides that, for benefits, what else?
When some other people were involved, for instance, like when Jennifer Paxton showed up at their house, she threatened the other two women who were involved. She was in jail. She didn't have the same kind of freedom that she had in that house where she wasn't locked up or chained or held down in any possible way. Then she went and turned him in when it went south, the same way she did in the jail. Once it was found out and she wasn't getting her way and she threatened those people, she went and turned the guy in. And now he's being prosecuted. It's exactly the same scenario according to the defense. And so it's probative to me be able to challenge her credibility and who has the actual control and the power in this situation, Judge. I mean, that's the whole defense.
Well, I thought you had to show that it went, not that it conformed with the character trait, but that in fact it went with motive or intent or something like that.
It does.
Which one?
Motive and intent. It goes to show her motive, which is jealousy. So her motive in killing Miss Paxton was jealousy that he brought her home. And jealousy, she threatened two other women in the jail because they were with the person who she viewed as having a relationship with. And then she turned him in afterwards. Exactly, she left and went and told the people about the person that she was getting the benefit from and having the relationship with. It tracks, Judge. I mean, and it goes to motive and intent because she's proven that she has done it again. It's not just propensity evidence. It goes that she has the ability to do it. They've raised the issue of mental incapacity and all this other stuff, Judge. I'm trying to the jury before we ever got started. So, I mean, part of this is to show that she can do those things because she has done those things. And it's not just propensity. It's to show lack of accident, motive, intent.
Your Honor, please, this is the problem we have with this. In order to get that information in, you have to have the context, and what he's doing is rank speculation on what her motivation is with her relationship with this corrections officer. So what happens is we end up going either he's making assumptions and leaps which are not in evidence, or we have to put that information in evidence and litigate this whole separate pending case, which is inappropriate to do in this context. And he's conflating how it's the same thing. What is the same thing in this case is that when she's had a man in power exploit her and she's turned him in, that's been corroborated and her statements have been very accurate. What the issue is with her statement is different from this, but you can't lump all of that in, again, without litigating that separate case. And again, the context for this is that her statements were corroborated. His argument that she is getting benefit is unsubstantiated and, again, just requires full hearing on that.
Okay. You want something?
She keeps saying her statements are corroborated. No, they're not. She came in here and testified about it, and and then later on there's a murder that's being prosecuted. That's not corroboration of her statements of some other kidnapping that he's talking about.
Okay.
She said there was a body in the freezer. There's a body in the freezer. She said this guy has child porn on his phone. He has child porn on his phone.
I promise, I got it.
This is.
I'll be back in about 15 minutes. Thank y'all very much. Keep seated. regard to the 404B issue, the proof that I've gotten so far, and the requirement for the case law in Tennessee is, let me find it for you. The court must, upon request, hold a jury out here, outside the jury's right. I did that. The court must determine that a material issue exists other than conduct conformed with a character trait, and must, upon request, state on the record the material issue, the ruling, the reason for admitting the evidence. Defense counsel has said that the material issue, other than conduct conforming, is motive and intent. Those are the two things you told me. And then when you spoke about it, you said she got a benefit from this relationship she had in prison or in jail, like she got a benefit from Mr. Finnegan. And then you also said that your theory is that she's the one who killed this person out of jealousy, and this is shown because she was jealous in the jail. I think that's what you told me. So, respectfully, I don't have clear and convincing evidence about the benefit or the jealousy. I do about she made the threat. So if you've got some additional questions you'd like to ask her about the benefit and the jealousy, I'll let you do that and try to convince me it's clear and convincing. But right now, I'm not there.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I? Thank you. So just back about the jail affair, is that whenever you were the officer, can you tell me how that happened? The officer would drop a phone off with you?
Yes.
Okay, and why did he drop the phone off with you?
To give him pictures and videos.
Okay. Did you gain any special privileges for doing this?
No.
You didn't? You didn't get extra time outside or any extra meals or anything like that?
No.
No? Did you get treated better by the corrections officer?
Not really.
No? You thought you had a relationship with him,
Yes.
but he treated you the same as every other correction officer?
Yes.
You had a relationship with him, you gave him sexual pictures, right?
Yes.
And you threatened someone to kill them because they were also flirting with him, right?
Yes, but
But he was only
treating.
treating you like every other corrections officer. Is that right?
I said that, but I didn't mean it actually, like, that I was going to fully intend to.
You're talking about killing them, right?
Or,
Yeah, so let's talk about the relationship, though. You said you didn't receive any special treatment. You didn't.
Objection, asked and answered.
Okay.
Let's go to the jealousy.
So when you threatened those girls,
yes,
it was because of jealousy, right?
I was upset
You were upset because you were jealous, right?
a little,
Okay.
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
a little.
A little. A little means you were jealous, right? I mean, you were jealous enough to threaten people, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
What did you do physically to them after making that statement, I'll kill you if you do this? What did you do?
I wept.
You wept? Is
Yes.
that what you said? Did you push anyone?
No.
Shove them?
No.
Shank them?
No.
Cut them?
No.
Punch them?
No.
You wept.
Yes.
So I guess, help me understand this. So you tell these girls, how many did you tell? 2 or 3, or how many did you tell?
I have problems with one.
1, okay. And you told her, I'm going to kill you if you do what?
If she talked to him.
I didn't hear you.
She talked to him.
Tell me again.
If she talked to him.
If she talked to him, and so you thought she was going to interfere with your relationship with him by talking to him?
Yes.
You did.
Judge, can I ask one more question?
I think it's pretty good for you right now, but if you want to go.
I'll leave. I'll leave.
Judge. Ben, I just need a minute.
What? Yeah, give me just a minute. Allow
you to ask about this, just in regard to the jealousy part, not the benefit. But if I do, I immediately have to give a limiting instruction. So I'm looking at the limiting instruction I have to give immediately after that.
So what I need to stay away from is benefit.
There's no proof of benefit.
Right. I'm
All right.
just making sure. Thank you, Judge.
I just want to leave this instruction. I'll be right back.
Okay, so under this 404B request to allow this question to be asked about this witness's involvement with a police officer while she's been in prison, the court held a hearing upon the jury's, outside the jury's presence. The court must determine the material issue exists or the conduct conform with the character trait and must, upon request, stay on the record the material issue did that. He said it was for motive or intent. The court must find proof of this would be the wrong to be clear and convincing, I do, in regard to jealousy. And the court must exclude the evidence of probative value is outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. I'm going to find that that is not outweighed. So the way it will happen is you can start your cross-examination, and then if you bring this area up after she answers this question about jealousy, then I will give a limiting instruction at that time, and then obviously the state can ask questions about jealousy. Once we open this door, you can ask about jealousy and other prior events or stuff like that. So that's about the way to handle it. I note the state's objection to this. Okay?
Thank you.
We good? Okay, bring it back in.
All rise.
Thank you. Have a seat. First of all, I want to apologize for making y'all wait. I had a legal issue that I need to get right. And so sometimes that takes me a little time to dig. So I dug through some books and got the right answer. So I appreciate your patience. But the reason that's important is I don't want to do this again. And so I want to do it right the first time. So I'll make every effort to make sure I touch all the bases. So please excuse me for this delay this afternoon. I'll promise I will do my best not to have that happen again. All right? So nobody's really mad at me right now? Okay, good. That's perfect. All right, so I think you finished, I think the state's finished its direct examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Dishman, when you moved in with Sean, that's a house that's in Oak Ridge, right?
Yes,
And it's in the city.
yes,
Okay. Is there more than one residence in that building?
there's 2 complexes.
It's 2 complexes. Okay. So, are there neighbors in that other? Is it an apartment or a condo or what would you?
Apartment
An apartment.
complex.
Okay. Are there other people that live in that building as well?
Yes,
Okay. So, do those different apartments share walls?
yes,
Okay. And then this house and this apartment is just a couple of blocks from the turnpike in Oak Ridge, right?
yes,
So there's a bunch of stores and stuff like that that run along the turnpike in Oak Ridge. Is that fair?
yes,
And so you were just a couple of blocks from those places, right?
yes,
Okay. Were those places that you would visit? Go to those stores and stuff like that? Like if you had to shop or whatever?
with Sean.
With
Yes.
Sean? Okay. And you said that you moved in with him. Where did you move in with him from? Where were you first? Where were you before you met Sean?
Maryville, Tennessee.
In Maryville, and you met him on Facebook.
Yes,
So, did you have a job at the time you moved in with him?
no,
No. And I think that you testified you were aware that, you were into kinky sex too, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know any other term for it, so I'm just going to call it kinky sex, okay, for right now. But you were into that too, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that you've done with other boyfriends as well?
yes,
Okay. And so it wasn't new to you when you
No.
came to Sean. It's part of the reason why you moved in with him and were attracted to him,
yes.
right? Okay. Whenever you moved into him, what did you bring with you?
A box of clothes and my jewelry box and a couple of pairs of shoes, that's it.
Okay, a couple. And did you bring some sex toys with you too?
Yes.
And were those sex toys like butt plugs?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so, do you remember when you went to speak with, well, when you testified that you were going to go to a shelter, right? Or Mahogany was taking you to a shelter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Sean wasn't home when you left. You packed up and
He was
left.
at work.
He was at work, right? And you were able to leave,
Yes.
pack up all your stuff and get out of there.
Yes.
Okay. When you first met with the police and told them this is some 9 months, right, after this
Yes.
happened, right? And Miss Paxton's body had been in the freezer for 9 months?
Yes.
Okay. And you did not call 911 or the police or anything to let them know that it happened, right?
Not till I told Mahogany.
Until you told Mahogany, okay. Were you scared you were gonna get in trouble?
Yes.
Yeah. And so when you went and told the police and you met with them that first time, do you remember that?
Yes.
And they brought you in, they talked to you in the interrogation room?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember telling them that that Miss Paxton had been chained to that bed for almost a month?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember telling them that it was sometime, the murder must have taken place sometime in January?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember telling them that, similar to when you're trying to explain to him say that he's choking her or something, but when you explained it, when you told them the first time, you said that it was something about coming out of a shower and you walked in and y'all both walked her in and you shut and locked the door before he started?
He was actually choking her as I walked in.
Okay, but that's not what you told the police the first time. Would you agree with me on that?
I told him that,
Okay. Now, this happened a long time ago, right?
yeah.
And so you've had, what, 4 or 5 years to think
Right.
about it, right? Okay. Do you remember telling the police when you first met him that when he got home, they woke you up, right? That you were just waking up? Do you remember telling them that? When Sean and Jennifer got there?
Yes.
Okay. And would that be normal, because he usually gets home kind of early hours of the morning
Yes.
from work, right? Okay. And then do you remember telling them that at that point, like, you had just woken up and then he basically just beat her with a bat?
Yes.
And that's basically what you told her, like, she was there and then he just decided to beat her with a bat, right?
Yes.
You didn't say anything about him talking about kidnapping or planning this or anything like that. You didn't say anything.
He had mentioned it while she was in the shower.
I'm sorry?
He had mentioned it while she was showering.
But you didn't tell the police that the first time you met with him, right?
I told them that he asked me, do you want to kidnap her? And I told him that he asked that while she was showering.
And that's what you said in the first interview?
I believe so.
Okay. You can't remember really though, right?
It's been a couple years.
It's been a long time and you could have said something different because you said different things,
Yeah.
right? And you've said a few different things, haven't you?
Yes.
Right? So the facts that you're saying now, today, for instance, today you said something about Sean burning you with a torch. You've never told anybody, in any of your interviews prior, you never mentioned anything about a torch, did you?
No.
Okay. And then you also talked about him cutting you with a box cutter. In any of your other interviews, you never mentioned anything about a box cutter, have you?
No.
No. And in fact, you suffer from some depression, and issues like that, don't you?
Yes.
And you're a cutter, aren't you?
I was at the time.
You were a cutter at the time. And that means that you would cut yourself, right?
Yes.
Small cuts,
Yes.
little cuts, and and you get some sort of satisfaction from that, don't you?
It was a coping technique.
Okay. And so when you would cut yourself, that's how you would cope, are tiny cuts?
Yes.
Okay. Sean paid for where you lived, right?
Yes.
And he bought you food
Yes.
and bought you glasses,
Yes.
and he paid for your medicine,
Yes.
right? He took you to the doctor, if you need to go to the doctor.
Yes.
He basically provided your needs, right?
Yes.
And he went to work just about every day in order to do that,
Yes.
right? And when I say day, I mean like afternoon till early morning hours, like the entire afternoon till the early morning hours, like 5 to 5, 4 to 4, something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So today when you testify about Jennifer getting there, you said that she came in and that she was making breakfast,
Yes.
right? So evidently you were up, or y'all were up for a little while. This didn't happen right when they got home, right?
Yeah, we were up and talking to each other.
For a little while, because not long enough for her to make breakfast, at
Yeah.
least, right?
She had a bowl of cereal.
Okay. So y'all are talking and having breakfast, and everything's fine, right?
At first.
Is this the first time Sean had brought a prostitute home?
No.
Is it the first time that y'all had discussed having a threesome?
No.
In fact, you've done that before.
Yes.
It wasn't uncommon,
No.
right? Okay. But this particular morning, your testimony is that he brought someone home, and you would agree that you texted back and forth with Sean, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you used other people's phones to do that, didn't you, sometimes?
Sometimes.
Okay. For instance, Mahogany's,
Yes.
right? Okay. And so in those texts, you would text him while he was at work,
Yes.
correct? And you would text him, basically sexting.
Yes.
Is that a fair way to say it? And you would say, hey, Daddy, come, whatever, right? I
Yes.
want to do this, I want to do that, right? They're going to be in evidence, so we'll be able to read them. And half the time, he would say, okay, baby, I got to go, we're getting busy. And that's how the conversation would end, right?
Yes.
Okay. Was your phone broken?
It didn't have Wi-Fi or data.
You didn't have Wi-Fi or data?
Yes.
Okay. That is a phone that Sean provided you also, right?
Not my first phone. It was gave to me, and then it got busted.
Your first, I'm sorry?
My first phone.
Got busted?
Mhm.
So this is a different phone, right?
Yes.
And it's one Sean gave you?
No. Different.
It's your first phone? I'm confused.
It was from another fiance.
Some other fiance bought you a phone?
Yes.
Okay. Were they paying for the service?
Yes.
And then they stopped paying for the service,
Yes.
right? And so so then you didn't have a service.
No.
So, okay. Which fiance was that?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey? Okay. I don't know that one. Do you remember in that first interview, you were talking about, you were telling them about the body in the freezer and these things, and you mentioned BTK. Remember that?
I believe so.
Yeah. Is that something, do you remember, did you read about that, the BTK killer? Or were you into serial killers?
No, but
No.
We watched ID a lot.
You watched like documentaries and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay. And you would agree with me that before you met Sean, that you had also kind of dabbled in some different sort of beliefs,
Yes.
right? Like religious beliefs, type like Satanism,
Wicca and
right?
later Satanism.
Like Satanism and witchcraft, things like that.
Yes.
Okay. And with a prior boyfriend, well, let me ask you this: when is the first time that you performed any kind of ritual, say with Ramsey, that involved cutting or blood?
I never performed any of that with him.
You didn't?
No.
You asked him to, though, didn't you?
No.
Okay, which boyfriend was it then?
I believe Austin said that.
It was Austin?
He said that, like, I've never used any spells on him or anything like that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm really having trouble understanding you, but my question is that well, let me ask that. Let me rephrase. Cutting and drinking blood, those are parts of some satanic rituals and things that you have performed before, correct?
No.
No. Okay, so if someone said that you did, say an, okay,
Objection. She's
all right.
asking us.
okay. So you okay. But you admit that you were into Satanism, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you've referred to yourself as a vampire before in letters? No? You remember writing Sean once in jail and saying, "I'll be your little vampire"?
No.
No? Okay. So after this arrest, after you were in jail, after you turned in Sean, right? You were in fear, is what your testimony was,
Yes.
right? You were in fear,
Yes.
correct? And so you had to get out because you were scared.
Yes.
Okay. And so then after you were arrested, it didn't take very long before you started writing letters to Sean again, right?
Right.
And you kept writing him letters, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Have y'all seen this?
I'm sorry. It's just one of the letters from the jail. Do you
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
I wrote him that letter.
It's a letter you wrote?
Yes.
Okay. Can you read the date on there?
6/25/21.
6/25/21. Can you read the letter to the jury?
Hey baby, I just got your letter. I hope all is well. First off, I want you to know I've made my decision. I want you to know I'm sorry for the lies and bullshit I've done. We have had our good and bad times together. I owe you an apology and I'm sorry. I want to be yours and only yours. Baby, will you take me back? Your baby girl misses you. But anyway, I hope you forgive me and write me, baby girl. P.S. I love you, Daddy.
Your Honor, I put that in evidence.
That'd be the next number, I think 87, right?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
And that's one of many
Yes.
letters that you wrote, correct?
Yes.
Exclaiming your love for him and that you
Yes.
hope that he would forgive you and take you back, and right? Over and over again,
Yes, at the time.
a lot of times.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to that first interview, all right, and see if you can remember some of the other things you said. First of all, let's talk about this. How did the police treat you? They were really nice to you, weren't they?
In jail? Or
No,
not?
I'm sorry. When you first, that was bad.
Sorry.
It's a bad question. I apologize. When you first told the police about this, right, that first night, that August 5th or whatever it is,
Yes.
they were very nice to you. I mean, you were like, they treated you like you were a victim,
Yes.
right? I mean,
treated
they
me
didn't,
nice.
they didn't interrogate you about anything. They just kind of let you
They-
talk,
Just kind of listen.
just kind of listen. That's right. And they made you comfortable,
Yes.
right? And gave you something to drink and asked you if you wanted something to eat.
Yes.
Okay. And during that interview, you talked about some of the cutting that you testified to about earlier, about walking. I think you testified that you came in from the shower. You're always getting out of the shower, right? Take a lot of showers?
Yeah, at the time.
Okay. And then you walked into the room, and Sean was, I think you said, was masturbating in
Yes.
front of the body, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that he had cut off some stuff.
Yes.
Now, do you remember when you talked to the police at the first place, you described something about him using a switchblade?
Yes. He
Right.
had used a pocket knife and cut off her nose.
Okay.
And
So,
intimate areas.
okay, so now it's a pocket knife,
Yes.
right? And you said you used the term switchblade when you first talked to the police, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So for the 9 months that you were at the house, right? Basically, you lived there for about 9 or 10 months. Is that about
Yes.
right? Did friends come over and hang out?
His friends.
Really? Mahogany never came over?
That was part of his friends.
That was his friends?
Yes.
She's not your friend?
I mean, later grew on to her as a friend.
Right. So you just were there, and his friends came over and hung out.
Yeah.
Where were your friends?
I couldn't see them.
Really?
Yes.
What are their names?
They were on Facebook and had lives and stuff on their own.
What are your friends' names?
I didn't have a lot of friends.
So you weren't allowed to see them, but you didn't have any friends to come see you.
No.
So that wasn't really true when you said you weren't allowed to see them. You just didn't have any friends to come see you. Is that right?
I mean, I could have had friends, but
You chose not to.
I wasn't really allowed.
Okay. But you did have friends in the neighborhood. I mean, you used Mahogany's telephone, right?
Right.
And she had to be familiar with what kind of relationship you guys had, right? I mean, she had to be kind of familiar because you used her phone for sexting
Right.
and took pictures of yourself and everything else, right?
Right.
And sent them to Sean.
Yes.
Was she sitting next to you when you did that?
No.
So you just had her phone?
Yes. She
So she-
just let me borrow it.
So she would just let you borrow her phone whenever?
Not whenever, but when I was smoking with her and spending time with her.
So she was there?
Yes.
Well, you just said she wasn't there.
Like, not.
Okay, I said sitting next to you. Maybe I was confusing, but she was in the room with you when you texted, sexted, took pictures, all that
Not all
stuff.
the times, but yes.
Did you delete those before you gave them back to her?
Yes.
You did? Okay. So you would do text to Sean on her phone and then delete the text before you gave the phone back to her?
Yes.
Okay. In the room? In the same room? While y'all are in the same room?
No.
So you would borrow her phone and then you would wander off into another room to text Sean?
Sometimes.
Was she just hanging out by herself in the house?
It would just depend.
Right. And there were other people that came over, it's like Sean, friends, people would come over and hang out during that 9-month period, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember that first statement you talked about that Sean made you clean up all the blood?
Yes.
After he beat her with a bat, is what you said. He beat her. He hit her in the head with a bat or whatever, and was beating her, and she's screaming, right?
Yes.
What time of day was this?
I'm not exactly sure, but it had to be in the afternoon.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
But he gets home in the morning, right?
He was at home in the afternoon because it was later. day.
Okay, but you said that it was after breakfast.
She had ate cereal when
So-
she got there.
Okay. So when she and Sean got home, that would be like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, right? That's when he gets off work?
That's usually when he got home.
And then she waited till late afternoon to eat a bowl of cereal?
Yes,
So she was there the whole day?
yes.
The entire day she was there?
She got there in the afternoon.
She got there in the afternoon.
Yes.
How did she get there?
Sean,
But Sean gets home at 4 o'clock in the morning from work.
he got home late.
He got home 14 hours late?
I know that it wasn't in the morning.
Okay. So if it happened in the afternoon, then she had to be there all day if she came home with him, right?
I just know that she was there in the afternoon.
Okay. But she was there when you woke up too. You said, you told the
Yeah.
police officers that, right?
Right?
You wake up in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that, you always wake up in the afternoon?
Yes, I'm not a morning person.
Okay. And then she and Sean woke you up in the afternoon when he got home from work?
Yes.
And he came home from work in the afternoon at a bar that doesn't open till 5? Is that what your
Yes.
testimony is?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. In that first statement, you also said that after Jennifer was there, that Sean raped her multiple times,
Yes.
3 or 4 times,
Yes.
right? Okay. And that he made you climb, I think you just testified that he made you climax over her while she was laying there,
Yes.
right? And I think you said that he had to force you to climax.
Yes.
You mean he turned you on?
I wasn't turned on, but he forced me to orgasm.
I don't think that's how that works. I'm not a doctor, but, okay, I'm sorry.
Objection argumentative.
Okay. So when you first talked to him, you first talked to the police, you told him that he made you clean up all the blood, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then just a little bit ago, you testified that after he did that, he went upstairs and he made you go down and clean up all the blood. That he went down and cleaned up all the blood and made you stay in the room. I'm sorry. That's what you just testified to, right?
Like, I cleaned a little bit of it up, but he went down and I'm assuming that he cleaned the rest up and
Okay.
grabbed the chain.
But that's not what you said the first time you talked to the police, right? You said that he made you clean up all the blood,
I
right?
didn't clean all of it up, just some of it.
Okay. And you'd agree that's different than what you said the first time?
Right.
Right. And you also testified today that there was blood everywhere, or I know in one of the statements, and I'm starting to get confused now, you said there was blood everywhere,
Right.
right? In what rooms was there blood everywhere?
The downstairs area.
I'm sorry?
The downstairs area.
The downstairs area?
Yes.
So it was just splattered blood everywhere because you're saying he was beating her with a bat,
Yes.
right? And blood spattered everywhere in that living room,
It
right?
was on, like, the floor area,
Mhm.
at least.
Okay. You just testified that they were fighting and she was protecting herself with a fire grate.
She was.
Okay. You've never said that before either, have you? To any other officers in any of your interviews?
I'm not sure.
Well, let me ask you, in your first interview, did you say anything about her defending herself with a fire grate? Did you tell the police that?
I can't remember.
Would you believe me if I told you you didn't?
I mean, it's been years.
Yeah. You didn't say anything about her defending herself at all when you talked to her, police the first time, right?
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, when people are fighting and there's someone defending themselves and someone swinging a bat, were they standing in one spot or moving around?
Moving around, I would think
What?
so. I would think they would be moving around.
You would think he'd be moving around. Okay. All right. Did you testify that So did you see it or not see it?
I mean, I had to go upstairs, and then by the time I came downstairs, that's what I saw.
Okay. So conveniently, whenever things are happening, you go upstairs?
I was made to go upstairs. He told me to go upstairs
Okay.
because his mom was coming down to take her medicine,
Right.
and he didn't want her to see it.
Okay. You mentioned that he was abusive to you really from the beginning, right?
Yes.
That's what your testimony is now.
Yes.
You said the first couple of weeks were good, right?
The first incident was the shower.
Okay. And so that first incident, do you remember what time of day was that?
I don't recall.
Do you remember what day it was?
No,
Do you remember what month it was?
no.
Remember what year it was? Have to,
2019.
I would think so. Call the police?
No,
Tell your neighbor?
no,
Tell anybody?
no,
Take any pictures?
no,
Write it in a journal?
no.
Okay. What about the next time that he was abusive to you? When was that?
Didn't tell anybody.
Didn't tell anybody?
No,
Didn't take any pictures?
no,
Didn't talk to the neighbors about it?
no,
Didn't call the police?
no,
Didn't leave?
no,
Whenever he was at work, were you chained to anything?
no,
No? Whenever he was at work, did he have a GPS monitor on you?
no,
Whenever he was at work, did you have an iPhone or a cell phone that he could track where you were?
no,
Were there locks on the outside of the doors or the windows that you could not leave the house?
no,
In fact, you did leave the house. You had pets.
yes,
And so you go take them for walks,
yes,
right? You'd go visit neighbors, right?
sometimes,
To go smoke pot or whatever.
yes,
Okay. Do you remember telling the police the first time that you checked, that after you were saying that Sean choked her, that you checked, that you were there and you kept checking her pulse? And I
Yes.
think that you testified to that too.
yes,
Today you testified that you basically were there all night long with her, checking her pulse all night,
yes,
right? Okay. And I think in that first interview you said that you were checking her pulse because you were a CNA.
yes.
You remember saying that? What's a CNA?
Certified nurse
A
assistant,
certified nursing assistant. And you worked at a place where elderly people were
yes, for 2 years,
for a few years. For a few years you were in charge of taking care of people, weren't you?
yes,
And you had responsibilities,
yes,
right? And you had to show up for work, and
yes,
you had to get home, and you had to
yes,
cash your check,
yes,
and all those things, didn't you?
yes.
And you're certified. That means you had to pass a test of some sort, didn't you?
I couldn't pass my test.
Then how'd you get certified?
I didn't, that's why they fired me.
That's why they fired you?
Yes,
Okay. But you worked there for several years.
yes,
All right. And you basically did the same job as a CNA even though you didn't pass the test?
right,
Okay. And they trusted you to do that
yes. Until I got fired.
until you got fired, but that's because you didn't pass the test, right? Okay. Now, in some of the descriptions of what happened, you were really specific about Miss Paxton's body and her tattoos.
Right.
You spent a good bit of time with her, didn't you?
Yes, we talked some.
Okay. And you were, I remember, do you remember when you were talking to the police and you were very descriptive about the injuries, you were very descriptive about the locations of her
Right.
tattoos, you were very descriptive about places that maybe were cut or had the names of her children? I remember that. Remember that?
Yes,
Okay. And you all had an open relationship, right?
Sean had one, yes,
That was the idea. You both had an open relationship.
he did.
Okay. And you had been with other people? You'd been with other women?
Just other women, yes.
Okay. And you texted Sean about wanting to be with other women?
It was his idea, like, he introduced it to me.
He introduced it to you?
Yeah,
You said you were into kinky sex stuff before you met Sean, right?
I was, but
Okay.
I've never, at the time, was with women and did it to that extent.
Right. But he introduced you to it and you liked it?
In the beginning,
Okay. Okay. So after 9 months of the body being in a freezer, you tell Mahogany. Now, Mahogany asked you about, you said something about your eyes, right? Bruises or something like that?
yes.
Okay. Now, when was the last time Mahogany was in the house before August 5th? Or when's the let me rephrase that. Let me scratch that, strike that. When was the last time you hung out with Mahogany before that August 5th date?
I don't recall, but she was getting married on my birthday, and after she came back, that's when she noticed the bruise on my eye, because that's when we got in a fight.
Okay. Now, when you got in fights, you hit him too, didn't you?
Yes,
I mean, it wasn't a one-way situation. It was a fight,
yes,
right? You weren't cowering in a corner. You were fighting back,
yes.
right? You hit him also, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever hit him first?
No,
Okay. So she got married on your birthday. When's your birthday?
April 30th.
When?
April 30th,
April 30th?
yes.
So she got married on April 30th,
She
around
was
this.
gone the week that my birthday was,
That's the week of April 30th.
yes.
And you didn't see her for 3 months until August 5th?
She came back, but I didn't tell her until later on.
Right, so she hung out with you for 3 months after she came back.
Yes,
So my question was, when was the last time you saw her before August 5th? And you said it was when she came back after being married on your birthday, which was 3 months beforehand,
right.
right? So I'm going to ask you again, when was the last time you saw Mahogany before August 5th?
I don't remember exact dates.
Within the week? Y'all saw each other fairly often, didn't you?
Pretty much, like, every couple weeks, I'd say.
Just every couple weeks, that's how often y'all hung out?
Yeah,
But she'd let you borrow her phone to sex Sean anytime you wanted?
when I was with her.
Right. Okay. Because she's his friend?
Yes,
Okay. When's the last time you had a job?
I believe it was 2017.
2017?
Yes,
And after that, you basically depended on your boyfriends or fiancés to pay for your way?
yes,
Okay. And what you would do is, I guess, what did you do? Provide sex?
yes,
Okay. And just to be clear, it was, even if it was kinky sex, it was stuff you were into?
sometimes.
Okay. So Sean's a cook, right?
Yes,
And he had chef knives, right?
Yes.
And he took them with him to work, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, he may have left them at the house then, right?
Right.
You don't know. But there were other knives at the house,
Yes.
right? Pocket knives or whatever, kitchen knives or other knives at the house, right?
Yes.
Okay. Even when Sean was gone.
Yes.
So we talked about kind of the stuff that led up to it, right? And then we had Jennifer being introduced to you in the morning or in the afternoon or whenever you woke up,
Right.
right? She was either immediately hit in the head with a bat or she was there all day and ate breakfast, right?
Right.
Okay. Let's see. She was either there chained to the bed for a month or for 2 or 3 days, right?
It was like 2 or 3 days.
But you told him a month the first time, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's talk about, so after you got arrested, you go to jail, you write these letters. You start writing these letters to Sean, right?
Yes.
And you continuously write to him, right? Until I assume your lawyers told you to stop.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so after that, some time's passed, and you developed I guess, a relationship with a corrections officer.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And that corrections officer would leave his phone for you to take pictures?
On one occasion.
Okay. And so it was a semi-sexual relationship,
Yes.
right? Okay. But you believed it was a relationship?
He told me that we could have fun.
Okay. And then you found out that there may have been a couple of other girls
Yes.
that he was having that kind of relationship with, right?
Yes.
And that made you jealous, didn't it?
It made me upset.
Okay. And it made you jealous enough to threaten those other to kill those other girls, didn't it?
I did say that, but I never meant it, that I was gonna actually kill them.
Right. But they didn't know that, did they?
It was like
Objection calls for speculation.
Okay.
Also
I
state,
withdraw it.
and ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a jury charge in regard to that. And it's called evidence of other bad acts. If from the proof you find the witness has committed a bad act other than that for which he has pled, you may not consider such evidence to prove her disposition to commit such a crime. The evidence may only be considered to you for the limited purpose of determining whether it provides a motive. That is, such evidence may be considered by you if it tends to show a motive of the witness for the commission of the offense charged here, or B, the witness's intent. That is, such evidence may be considered by you if it tends to establish the witness actually intended to commit the crime charged. Such evidence of other bad acts, if considered for you for any other purpose, must not be considered for any other purpose than what was specifically stated. And I'll give you all a copy of that charge when you go back on your deliberations. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge. And so just at the end, so after threatening, right, after you threatened these girls, then something happened, the relationship maybe is going south or something, right? Or maybe you found out about the other girls. Is that what happened?
found out about the other girls.
Okay. And so your response was to do what?
I decided it was best to turn him in.
So you turned him in. And you became the victim again, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
I'll withdraw it. I need a couple of seconds.
Sure.
So, just so the jury's clear, you pled guilty to the charges that you faced. You pled guilty to first-degree murder and to kidnapping,
Yes.
right? And you were charged with the same crimes that Mr. Finnegan is charged with and is facing trial here today, correct?
Yes.
And you were also served with a notice of the state's intent to seek the death penalty,
Yes.
right? And then you pled guilty.
Yes.
Your attorneys advised you, right? You got good attorneys, don't you?
Yes.
You do.
Very good attorneys.
You've got very good attorneys. And they advised you that it would be in your best interest to take a plea.
Yes.
And so you pled guilty to that.
Yes.
And in exchange, The state's not, is agreed to not, there's no death penalty,
Right.
right? They took the death penalty off the table. So you saved your life,
Yes.
and your attorneys advised you that that was advisable.
Yes.
Okay. And that plea was sometime that was in September last year.
Yes.
Is that fair? So, before you came in this morning to testify, first of all, you've testified under oath before,
Right.
right? And you've testified in this courtroom
Yes.
under oath before. And do you remember testifying last time that strike that. Okay. I just want to be clear that whatever time of day that Jennifer Paxton and Sean got back to your house, on whatever day that was, whatever time of the year that was, that you were there,
Right.
right? That you were there for 9 months
Yes.
following,
Yes.
and that you were alone most of the time.
Yes.
And during the time Jennifer Paxton was there, you were alone most of the time.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Yes, Your Honor. When you were there alone, was there someone else in the house?
Francis.
Did Frances communicate regularly with
No.
Mr. Finnegan?
She talked to him, but we didn't really have a relationship.
You two didn't have a relationship.
No.
Are you aware of how Mr. Finnegan knew what you were doing during the day if you weren't telling him?
I'm guessing that she watched me.
Objection to guessing.
Do you have
What's the
any personal knowledge of Miss Frances giving information to Mr. Finnegan?
Objection to hearsay.
She may have personal knowledge based on
We'll just
other actions.
Yeah, ask her if she's got personal knowledge, know what somebody told her.
That was my question. Do you have personal knowledge or information, not something someone told you, that makes you believe that Miss Frances told Sean what you were doing during the day?
No.
Who told Sean that you left with Mahogany? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Who else was at the house when you left with Mahogany?
Just Francis.
Okay. So in any given day, the only other person at the house after Miss Paxton was murdered, that was
It
Miss
was
Francis.
just Francis and I.
Okay. Did you have a driver's license?
No.
Were you able to operate a car?
No.
Now, you had said earlier that he had the freezer turned initially, when it was downstairs, with the doors toward the wall, correct?
Yes.
Was he concerned with someone you said he was concerned with somebody getting in that. Who was he concerned about?
His ex, Sarah.
And was that something where Sarah would come over
Yes.
at that
sometimes.
point? And this is somebody he had dated,
Yes.
and you were aware of that.
Yes.
Did you threaten Sarah?
No.
Were there any other women? There's been testimony here today that threesomes weren't abnormal and it was always another woman, correct?
Right.
That's what you said just a few minutes ago. So were there other girlfriends that he had?
Yes.
And they came into the house?
Yes.
How many other women were in the house besides Jennifer while you were there? In and out, whether they spent the night, stayed, but
At least
relationships?
4.
Okay. Were any of those women murdered or put in a freezer?
Just Jennifer.
Okay. Do you have a day planner? Do you know what I mean by that?
Like a to-do list
Yeah. With like a calendar?
outside of jail or
Like when you lived at this house, did you keep a
Oh.
calendar of your day-to-day?
no.
Did you have anywhere that you were scheduled to be at any given time?
No.
Working on, job that you had to keep that schedule?
No.
Do you remember when COVID, are you going to use the term COVID hit?
Yes.
When was that?
Probably summer of 2019. At one point, Sean lost his job.
Okay. And that was because things were locked down
Right.
or closed. And lots of schedules kind of got upended, right?
Yes.
At that point, yeah. So you had nowhere where you needed to be working every day.
No.
You weren't volunteering anywhere.
No.
Didn't have any sort of 9 to 5.
No.
Nothing to mark really the difference between one day or another.
No.
Okay. You talked about, and he talked about, watching crime documentaries or TV shows,
Right.
and you talked about how Sean came home with shower curtain cleaning supplies,
Yes.
different things. Could you describe what he did with those?
After he murdered Jennifer, he laid the tarp down, placed her body on the shower curtain, rolled her in it after bleaching her down, and then put her in the freezer.
Did you assist with that?
Yes.
You talked about being there alone. It was just you and Jennifer. You've said that on both direct and cross.
Right.
That you're there, Francis is there. Francis is
Right.
having good days and bad days.
Yes.
And you talked with Jennifer.
Yes.
You said at the end, when you thought that she was close to dying,
Yes.
that you talked to her.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
I was extremely anguished and I wanted to say my goodbyes
Why did you feel that anguish?
because I care about people.
So there's been some talk about you being satanic or
Right.
Wiccan. And you said you were into it.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? What did you do?
I
And
went through a phase as a teenager trying to fit in, and my dad was an ordained minister, so I was kind of rebellious.
okay. So you, to be clear, you weren't drinking blood
No.
or engaging in rituals as they were described by
No.
defense earlier. There's been some talk then of some letters that were sent
Right.
back and forth between you and Mr. Finnegan. Did you write a lot of letters to him?
Yes.
Did you express your affection for him in those?
Yes.
Do you ever recall him writing to you?
Yes.
He ever give you instructions on things you should do in those letters?
He had told me that I needed to tell the truth, and he was innocent.
And are you telling the truth today when you said you didn't do this?
Yes, I'm telling the truth.
When you said you were sorry for the lies and bullshit, what did you mean by that?
Like, not being a good enough girlfriend and not being good enough for him. Essentially, I wasn't ever worthy enough for him.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last
I
part? I couldn't
wasn't.
understand you.
I felt that I wasn't worthy enough for him.
Why is that?
I've always felt this way.
So when you say lies and bullshit, and you've always felt that way, you just mean in relationship to him and being a good girlfriend or submissive. Okay. You're not talking about the events
Objection
of
to
court
leading.
today, are you?
It's fine.
I think I'm re-summarizing what she said.
I don't think you need to re-summarize,
Okay.
so I think that may be leading, so I'll sustain the objection.
So we've talked about you entering a guilty plea on this. And why did you do that?
Because I feel that I am guilty. I have to live the rest of my life with it. And I still have to deal with it every day.
Okay. There's talk about, again, the punishment that you had and the way he treated you, and the way he was treating her. Could you clarify for me when you and when she are chained, specifically with Miss Paxton, how was she physically chained to the bed? Like, describe exactly how that worked.
She was chained on the footboard side of the bed, and he used 2 padlocks, one on her neck and one for the other loop for the other end of the chain through the middle.
Is that the same or different than the way he would chain you?
Different.
And how would he chain you?
He would use it the same way, but he would lead me around the house like a dog, and at one point he inserted it vaginally inside of me.
So he used chain links for that?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever seen the autopsy or the medical examiner's report for Miss Paxton?
I'm not sure.
Is that something that, in preparation for your testimony, you looked at?
I don't remember.
Do you remember pictures of Miss Paxton or a lot of medical information?
Yes.
Is that something that you looked at with your attorneys?
Yes.
You think that they gave you that in anticipation?
Maybe.
Okay. Did you have any information about what was in that report before you talked to the police?
No.
Because that would have been, you talked to the police August 5th and into
Yes.
6th, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever told Mahogany every detail about the abuse that you had at the hands of Mr. Finnegan?
No.
Have you ever told the investigators every detail about that?
I believe so, yes.
So you believe that you gave more information as the case went on
As it
than you did
progressed,
in
yes.
that initial disclosure? And you've given more information than you did to the police on that first interview, right?
Right.
conceded that. Is that because that information is true or false?
It's all true.
Okay. And why were you giving those additional details later?
Because I knew that it had to be spoken or it would never be spoken.
Pass the witness, Judge.
As part of your plea agreement, you agreed to testify, correct?
Yes,
How many times did you meet with the prosecutor to prepare for this?
I don't recall.
More than one?
Yes,
More than two?
yes,
More than three?
not sure,
Okay. Or 3, 4, something like that maybe?
not sure.
When's the last time you met with him?
I don't remember.
You don't remember the last time you met with him? When's the last time you met with your attorneys?
Week or a couple weeks ago.
Okay, not today?
I met with them today.
Okay. And a couple weeks ago?
Yes,
You don't remember the last time you talked to the DA?
no,
Okay. But you remember amazing details from 4 or 5 years ago, right?
depending on what it is.
Right. They're different now than they were, but,
Right.
okay. And so, Sean wrote you letters,
Yes.
right? And he wrote you letters and said, Rebecca, tell the truth,
Yes,
right? And you wrote him back and you said, I'm sorry for lying, didn't you?
I wrote him back, but
You just read the letter. You don't
Right.
remember reading the letter?
yeah.
Okay,
I
'cause
did write that.
It seems like maybe, okay. You just read the letter that you apologized to him, right?
Yeah,
And he was writing you letters saying, tell the truth. That's all he wrote to you.
yes,
Tell the truth, I'm innocent. And you wrote back, I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry I put you in this position. Right?
no.
No? Is that the letter you just read?
I meant with the relationship.
Okay. And you just assumed he would just guess whatever you meant as opposed to it being a response to his letters?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
May I approach?
Sure.
Now, we've discussed that you wrote many, many letters, correct?
Yes,
And you wrote letters probably from the time you were taken into custody
yes.
up till, yeah, have you ever stopped writing letters?
I eventually stopped.
You stopped writing letters to Mr. Finnegan.
Yes,
Was that after days, months, years?
years.
Did you only talk about whether telling the truth or not, or sorry for lies or bullshit, or were there other things discussed as well?
There was other things.
And he wrote back,
Yes,
and he discussed other things as well, didn't he?
right.
So this was a correspondence that was going back and forth regularly.
Yes,
And did you always get every letter he
No.
sent to you?
no,
Are you aware if he received every letter you sent to him?
no, I'm not sure.
But you are aware that sometimes you said he doesn't get it, sometimes mail's rejected.
Right,
And so sometimes you're writing letters and you haven't got a response yet from the previous one. Is
Right.
that accurate? And sometimes you have.
yes,
To get a full picture of everything on what his response to this or that may not flow.
right.
I'm going to object to
Um,
leading again.
Can you recognize
One
that
second,
letter?
1 second, I'll sustain the objection. So, next question.
Can you recognize that letter?
Yes,
Who wrote that?
I did.
Who'd you write it to?
Sean.
I'm gonna have that marked as the next numbered exhibit. I'll move that into evidence.
Okay. think that'll be 8 or 9.
And tell me if I'm reading this correctly. Baby, I'm sorry. I'm a bad submissive. I'm sorry I disobeyed you. I feel really bad. That guy was flirting. I'm sorry.
Correct.
I love you so much, so fucking much it hurts.
Correct.
Thank you.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Who wrote that letter?
I did.
Who'd you write it to?
Sean.
Summary here, I'm in a million pieces, don't know where to begin. You hurt me so bad, all I want is your love. That the gist of this?
Yes.
Breaks my heart that we're apart. Drenched in lustful sin. Is that what you wrote to him?
Yes.
What do you call him when you sign up?
Master.
I move that this be admitted as State's Exhibit
That'll be number 9.
number 9.
Done. Any rewrite?
Just
Cross.
And those letters you were writing to him, you wanted him back and you loved him and you miss him and you want to touch him and hold him and all those things, right?
At the time, yes.
But you had to leave because you were scared of him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, no.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You can step down. You can step down.
We're doing what? What are we doing? Is our next witness?
Is our next witness,
How
yes.
long will this witness be?
Not as long as the one after that, but
Okay. All right. So we'll stop for the day. So, ladies and gentlemen, y'all done a great job today, and I cannot thank you
Your Honor,
enough.
please, can we?
Oh, you gotta be here today.
this one,
It would be preferable. She's an hourly wage worker.
Okay, all right. So hang on with me. We're gonna do one more witness. Okay.
The answer to that was perhaps more vague. It's shorter than the next one, and it should be enough to get us finished by 5:30.
Okay.
I would imagine that would
All right.
be feasible.
Ma'am, if you'll step up here next to me, please. Right up here, please. You raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. You have a seat right there. If you'll tell me your first name and last name and spell them both, and then if you'll speak up in that microphone, that'll help everybody hear. Okay?
Kelsey Norwood Coons.
And Ms. Coombs, do you live here in Anderson County?
No.
Okay. But you did back in 2019, 2020?
Yes.
And do you recall what your street address was in 2019, 2020?
316 East Fairview Drive.
Okay. And East Fairview Drive is in the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee?
Yes.
Okay. And as we leave this courthouse and we head into Oak Ridge, how would we get to Fairview Avenue or Drive? Is it Avenue or Drive, did you say?
Avenue, I'm sorry.
Okay. How would we get to Fairview Avenue?
You would go down the turnpike and turn by the dollar store.
Okay.
and
Is that the Dollar General?
The Dollar General, yes.
Okay. Do you know the name of that road that you turn on there? Florida Avenue sound familiar? It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you take a right on Florida Avenue, how do you get to your place that you lived at on Fairview?
You would turn right onto Fairview.
Okay, so right on Florida, right on Fairview. Okay, and the type of place you lived in, could you describe for the jurors what type of building it was?
It was like a townhouse. There was 4 units. Mine was on the very end, and Sean's was right next to me.
It was a fourplex,
Yes.
so to speak?
Yes.
Do you know what a Semesto house is?
No.
You don't know what a different plans of Semesto houses in Oak Ridge are?
No.
Okay. But that fourplex that you're in, you see them all over Oak Ridge, right?
Right.
Okay. And in fact, when you turn onto Fairview, there's another fourplex on the corner, on the corner of Florida and Fairview, right?
Right.
And you're not that one on the corner, but which one are you from there?
The next one.
Okay. And your particular apartment is the fourplex is running perpendicular with the street, right?
Right.
All right. May I approach, Your Honor? What's my next exhibit number?
10.
Ms. Coons, I'm handing you what's been marked for identification as exhibit number 10, and you've probably seen that kind of image before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are we looking at?
It's the street view of where I lived. The street view of where I lived.
Okay. Google overhead
Google Maps,
image, a
yeah.
Google map image. Okay, and do you recognize the cross streets that you just testified to the jury about Fairview in Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you recognize which apartment was yours versus which in this particular exhibit?
Yes.
Okay, and you see your apartment there?
Yes.
And if I can have you circle with red ink your apartment in exhibit number 10. Okay, and put in there, if you want to put a KC or KNC, and go ahead and sign it, Kelsey Coons, and today's date. Okay, and do you know Colt and Mahogany Pico?
I know of them.
Did you know where they lived in relation to your apartment?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a black pen. Well, I guess I'm gonna give you a black pen, and I'm gonna have you circle and put CP and MP inside the circle over their apartment.
It's not right.
Guess we let this out too long. We have another color. Well, we're just going to do it all in red, I guess, and then we'll just do different initials inside the circles. Right now, there's one red circle on there with a KC inside it. That's you, Kelsey Coons, right?
Yeah.
And you've autographed and dated it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to have you circle where Mahogany Pico and Colt Pico lived, and put a CP/MP in there. And finally, I want you to circle, and you had another neighbor named Sean Finnegan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see him here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Where is he?
He's sitting right over there.
Record reflects you pointed to the defendant, Sean Finnegan.
You did?
And where did your neighbor Sean Finnegan live?
He lived right beside me.
Okay, circle that and put an SF in it. And do you know who else he lived there with?
Becca and his mom,
Do you know Becca's name?
Rebecca Dishman.
So if you put inside the circle SF RD, and we're going to move this in as the physical locations, Judge, for Exhibit 10 of the different apartments in the proximity to each other. And if I could put that up while she's explaining the exhibit. And so you just made mark notations on exhibit number 10. Could I have her stand down just so she can use this to just indicate to the jury what she marked on the paper exhibit? Kelsey, tell the members of the jury, where is Fairview and Florida? Which fourplex did you live in this picture?
This one.
Okay. And your unit was actually on the street side, on Fairview side, the far end. So there's 3 other tenants as this exhibit goes north, right?
Right.
And with regard to the Picos, where did they live?
Right here.
Okay. And is there a difference in these units? It appears there's wings on the end and a main part in the center.
The ends are just single, and the middle is 2-bedroom, 2-story.
Okay. So as we look at the exhibit, both on the ends are 1-bedroom units, and there's two two-bedroom units in the middle, and then on the far side, another 1-bedroom unit.
Right.
And you lived in that 1-bedroom unit on the end, right? And who lived right next door to you?
Sean.
Okay, so you shared an adjoining wall with Sean Finnegan and Rebecca Dishman, right? Okay. How long did you live at that apartment, if you recall?
A little over a year.
But
Maybe about a year, 2 months, 2 or 3 months.
Okay, but you were there in the Christmas of 2019?
Yes.
Okay. And in Christmas of 2019, had you gotten to know them at all?
No, not really.
Okay. Didn't do much interacting with either Miss Dishman or Mr. Finnegan?
No, it was more like see each other in passing. Hi, how are you? See you later.
Okay.
That kind
And
of thing.
as we look at these 2 fourplexes, we see in the overhead view at least some driveways in between? Is
Yes.
that where everybody parked?
That's where they parked. Sean and his other neighbor on the other side parked there.
The 2-bedroom units used the driveway?
Yes.
You did not?
No.
How come?
There was never really anywhere for us to park, so we parked right next to the tree on the Fairview Road,
Okay.
right where the red car is.
On the street
Mhm.
is where you normally park?
Yes.
And then enter in, so you would have times when you'd just be passing by and saying pleasantries and things like that?
Right.
Okay, but no social interaction? You didn't go over and hang out in their apartment or have them hang out?
No.
At the time, in Christmas of 2019, did you have any children?
I did.
Okay, and did anybody else live there at the apartment with you?
My husband and my child,
Your husband, what's his name?
Elijah.
And you had a child?
Mhm.
When was your child born?
August 29th of 2019.
Okay, so you had a baby in,
Yes.
in Christmas of 2019, right?
Yes.
And some things happened in Christmas of 2019 to cause you alarm with things going on next door?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to turn your attention to that, okay?
Okay.
How is it that you know it was Christmas time, that something alarmed you about things going on next door?
Because my Christmas tree was still up.
Okay. And out of habit, how long do you put your Christmas tree up at a certain time?
Not usually. I mean, up to a week or two after January.
Okay. When do you put it up?
I mean, it's just anywhere from after Christmas till no later than a week or two into January.
When you assemble it?
Oh, usually right after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Real or fake?
Tree?
Yes.
Fake.
Okay. So anytime you get the box out,
Take
basically.
about a 10-minute
Right.
break. 2 minutes. Everybody rise, please.
All rise.
Yeah, back there in 10 minutes.
Thank you. Have a seat, please. And you can continue with your direct examination, please, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Coons, I noticed that you're wearing a McDonald's shirt. Is that where you work now?
Yes.
Did you work back in Christmas of 2019, December of 19?
Yes, a different location, but yes.
Working at McDonald's as well? And do you remember what hours you were home at that time, around Christmas of 2019? What your shift was?
I usually worked like 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. That was my usual shift.
Okay. And your husband, did he work at the time an opposite shift, or did you guys share the same shift and would be home at the same time?
He had 2 jobs, so he worked mornings and nights.
Okay.
Usually.
Very busy back in 2019, your husband was, right? Did you have parental help with your baby?
Yeah, my mom would watch her while we worked.
Okay. I asked you if you obviously you recognize Mr. Finnegan as a neighbor. You said you had no social relationship with him, but did you have occasion to speak with, during the time that you lived at Fairview, Rebecca Dishman?
Yeah, she came over a couple times and asked to use my phone.
Objection, Judge, to hearsay.
What do you say?
I said, did you have a chance to speak to her? I didn't ask her what she said.
She started to
Call
say.
over, go ahead.
Did you have a chance to speak with her?
She came over a couple times and asked to use my phone.
Objection, Judge, hearsay.
Don't tell me what you said, but she came over a couple of times.
Okay.
Yes.
Next question.
So she came over a couple of times, and you had an opportunity to interact with her and get a feel for who she was?
Yes.
And what was your opinion of her?
She seemed sweet.
Okay.
Kind of, I guess you would say slower than most people.
Okay.
Intelligent-wise.
Okay. And she came over with specific requests.
Yes.
Did she discuss with you what her intention was with regard to those requests? 8033, Judge. I'm going straight to state of mind, the declarant state of mind right now.
He's asking her to repeat what she was told by someone.
Is that what you're asking?
But no, what I'm asking is that in the 8033 state of mind exception to the hearsay rule, a statement made by the person out of court to this person about their state of mind and their
We'll
intention.
stop for today. And so we'll go ahead and call it a day. Y'all go back to your hotel. I'm gonna come over there and see what books you've got so I can make sure they're okay. But don't discuss the case with each other or with anyone else, all right? And so I'll see y'all in just a few minutes. Don't talk to me about the case either if you see me wandering around the halls, okay? All right, everybody rise, please. All rise. You can leave your jury books right there.
Follow me.
Okay, have a seat, please. Okay, so restate your question.
Well, Judge,
Just
I guess,
restate your question to her.
ma'am, Miss, did you have interaction with Rebecca Dishman?
Yes.
And if so, what did she tell you when you had the interaction with Miss Dishman?
Okay, let's stop there. You're saying hearsay,
I'm saying hearsay.
and you're saying
I'm saying it's an 803, you have to hear the answer, I guess, Judge, to,
Okay,
to-
what's the answer?
She came over, was talking about how she is scared of Sean and that she wanted to get away but didn't really have anywhere to go. She wanted to use my phone and she made a fake Facebook profile. She said she was doing that so she could try and get a ride out of there. I can't remember who she said she was trying to get a hold of. But
and did she in fact do that on your phone?
yes.
And so she indicated that she was afraid and that she was trying to leave and she needed your phone to do that through a Facebook fake account, and you verified she did that?
Yes.
And what did you do as a result of that?
She had asked me if she got a message to go over there and relay it to her, and as soon as she left, I never did. I just deleted it off of my phone. I really didn't want to get involved.
Okay, so so Ms. Dishman asked her to send out some notice saying she needed help or something like that. She wanted to leave. Is that what you did?
She created a fake Facebook profile on my phone,
Right,
and she messaged somebody, I don't know who,
right.
and asked if she received a message on my phone if I would take it over there and show her it.
Okay.
And I never, I
Alright.
just deleted it.
And what exception do you think it goes under?
8033, Judge, statement of intent.
8033.
Then her
Existing
state,
mental, emotional,
state,
physical condition?
state of mind, yes, Your Honor. That she was in fear, and she was trying to get out, and she needed help.
Okay, Counsel Wales, say.
Is the state of mind of one of their witnesses?
No, it says a statement of the declarant's then existing state of mind, emotion, sensation, or physical condition, such as intent, plan, motive, design, mental feeling, pain, or bodily, but not including a statement of memory or belief to prove the fact remembered or believed unless it states to the execution, revocation, identification, or will.
I mean,
So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get her to say what Ms. Dishman said and trying to do it under 8033, saying that this was a statement by the declarant, by Ms. Dishman,
Right.
of her existing state of mind, emotion, sensation, stuff like that.
Then I also object under 403 that its prejudicial effect also far outweighs, and it also object under 404B in that she's talking about a possible prior bad act, and
Who's bad at? Oh, that she's afraid of.
she's afraid of for some reason. Is she being abused or whatever? I mean,
No, but she didn't say what she's afraid. Does she say she's afraid of?
in her statement before, so I'm expecting
Oh.
that to come in. but-
Okay, well, I won't let that come in. So this is all you're trying to get in, is that statement?
No, she's also heard the beating going on next door, Judge, and we're
Okay,
gonna go
well,
into that.
Keep on asking. We'll see what else she says.
With regard to the statement
I'll
of
let that
the
in.
80.
I'll
Okay.
let that in right there.
Okay. The only additional proof we're gonna have is what she heard in Christmas of 2019 with this particular witness. She heard a fight going on next door directly behind the wall where the fireplace is.
Well, why don't you go ahead and ask her, then they can object, and then we'll go.
I don't think
I don't
they're
think I have
objecting to
any
that part.
objections to that. I
Okay.
only have objections to her testifying about what Ms. Dishman told her.
And we're gonna do the same proof with Mahogany Pico, because she did the same thing with Mahogany, went to her for help. And
Let's just take
we're
care of
gonna-
that tomorrow, but what I'm going to do is allow her to testify what she just testified to under 8033, right? Okay,
Judge, just one more time, just to clarify the record, I'm
Sure.
also objecting because I'm saying it's testimonial, and it's testimonial that she's claiming fear based on a statement. She's basically testifying for Ms. Dishman about another incidence of fear.
He just crossed her, Judge, and assailed her credibility and completely.
I'll allow it tomorrow. Okay, I'll see y'all tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Thank y'all for your work today. Very good job.
Thank you.